potential conflict between the two countries definitely risks nuclear conflict between India and Pakistan.
Unfortunately, the situation in South Asia is very fragile.
The amount of troops today stationed in Kashmir is 900,000 with a population of barely 10 to 11 million.
We are not interested in Kashmir. We are interested in the people of Kashmir.
When they decide on something and they give sacrifices for their liberty and freedom, nobody can stop them.
This road is leading towards Kashmir. It is called the paradise on earth.
Located between the towering Himalayas and the vast plains of the Indian subcontinent, Jammu and Kashmir is a region renowned for its breathtaking natural beauty. From the peaceful waters of Dal Lake to the green valleys of Pahalgam, the region is full of snow-covered mountains, flowing rivers and colorful gardens. With its incredible beauty at every turn, Jammu and Kashmir truly feels like a heaven.
Its beauty is idyllic. You can compare it to the mountains of Switzerland or France. It's one of the most beautiful places. You'd be going there in winter, but if you come there in spring or in the summer, you'd say, this is paradise on earth.
Known for its extraordinary beauty, the region of Jammu and Kashmir has also been marked by a complex and enduring conflict that has soured relations between India and Pakistan since both nations gained independence in 1947. Today it stands as one of the world's most heavily militarized areas, where the struggles of the past continue to shape its present and future. Jammu and Kashmir, a dispute that lasted decades with no clear resolution in sight. What began as a territorial conflict has evolved into something far more complex, a struggle that shaped lives, altered futures, and left countless questions unanswered. Beyond the headlines, there is politics, there are human stories, the stories of pain, resilience, hope, and desperate search for peace. We are here in Pakistan now to embark investigation into the ongoing turmoil, peeling back the layers to uncover the untold truth. For over 70 years, Jammu and Kashmir has been a focal point of conflict between two countries. India claims the region as an integral part of its territory, backed by the 1947 Instrument of Accession, while Pakistan sees it as a disputed, arguing that the Muslim-majority region should have a right for self-determination and calling for a plebiscite.
It was the Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru who took that case to the United Nations in the form of a complaint. The United Nations Security Council, on the complaint of India, they summoned Pakistan, and the United Nations Security Council then passed certain resolution. The resolution said a plebiscite, a vote should be given to the Kashmiris to decide their own future, their own stake, or whether they want to join India or Pakistan.
The United Nations has passed resolutions on the Kashmir issue, focusing on calls for a ceasefire, a plebiscite, and a peaceful resolution. However, these resolutions have not been fully implemented due to disagreements, particularly over the withdrawal of military forces. A key element of the dispute was Jammu and Kashmir's special status under Article 370, granted in 1949, which allowed the region significant autonomy, including its own constitution. In August 2019, the Indian government unilaterally revoked the status.
जो काम पिछले 70 साल में नहीं हुआ, नई सरकार बनने के बाद 70 दिन के भीतर आर्टिकल 370 और 45A को हटाने का काम भारत की दोनों सदनों ने, राज्यसभा और लोकसभा ने 2/3 बहुमत से पारित कर। मैं ये गर्व के साथ कहता हूं कि आज हर हिंदुस्तानी कह सकता है, वन नेशन, वन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन।
With this decision, Indian government revoked Jammu and Kashmir's special autonomy, stripping the Muslim-majority region of its right to make its own laws. The move also allowed individuals from outside the region to purchase property in Kashmir.
Mr. Modi, in the sense that he has done that, if he brings in outsiders and they come and buy properties, because the Indians are much richer than the Kashmiris now. If others come and buy, but it takes time, of course, it can't happen in one day, and they, over a period of X number of years, suddenly you find non-Kashmiris being more than Kashmiri.
The United Nations expressed deep concern over India's revocation of Jammu and Kashmir's special autonomy, warning of heightened instability and the risk of escalating tensions between India and Pakistan.
The Secretary General has been following the situation in Jammu and Kashmir with concern and makes an appeal for maximum restraint. The position of the United Nations on this region is governed by the Charter of the United Nations and applicable Security Council resolutions. The Secretary General also recalls the 1972 Agreement on Bilateral Relations between India and Pakistan, also known as a Simla Agreement, which states that the final status of Jammu and Kashmir is to be settled by peaceful means in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations.
What does Kashmir itself means for Pakistan? Is it more about justice, human rights, domestic issues, or something else?
We are not interested in Kashmir. We are interested in the people of Kashmir. It's about people. It's not about territory. It's about humanity. It's about their right to life, right to freedom, right to have a better tomorrow, right to have peace, progress, and prosperity.
And why is Kashmir important for us, other than the fact it is majority Muslim area? Because all our rivers come from there. The whole of Pakistan's irrigation system, and it is the largest base of irrigation system in the world. It's a 25 million acres of contiguous land. There is no such other basin like this in the rest of the world, and there are 257 rivers worldwide. So this Indus Basin Plan was a crucial area for irrigation. And unfortunately, in 1960, we gave away 3 of our rivers to India exclusively, and 3 come to us.
Pakistani administrated Kashmir, or as it's called here, Azad Kashmir, relies heavily on rivers like the Chenab, Jhelum, and Ravi for agriculture, making water a crucial resource. The Kashmir water dispute centers on control over these rivers, which flow through the contested area into Punjab. Pakistan fears that India, as the upstream nation, could block or divert the water during conflicts, a threat dating back to the late 1940s, when water was previously cut off.
We have now arrived at the point where Azad Kashmir begins, a region administrated by Pakistan as normally self-governing entity. The capital, Muzaffarabad, lies about 30 kilometers from here. In order to enter this zone, foreigners need to get special permission from Foreign Office. Let's move forward.
Life here is far from unaffected by the broader geopolitical dispute. The people live with a strong sense of identity, influenced by both their cultural ties to Pakistan and their desire for self-governance, continuing to grapple with economic limitations and the ongoing impact of the larger Kashmir conflict.
People by and large are prosperous, but we have high unemployment rate. The total size of the economy should be nearly $7 billion, and I think per capita income should be $1,500 plus, which is comparable to the per capita income of Pakistan. That's why it's called Azad. We have a president, elected president, we have an elected prime minister, we have a legislative assembly, which is the lower house. We also have an upper house, which is called the council, Azad Jammu and Kashmir Council, and we have a two-tiered judiciary. We have the Supreme Court and High Court, but the defense, foreign affairs, currency, communications, these are all with the government of Pakistan or the state of Pakistan.
Agroeconomy is the real grundnorm of the economic functioning. On the agro side, it's crops, it's livestock, it's horticulture, fruits, it's vegetable. These are the major produce that they produce. There are three elements of livestock. There's the genetics, the quality of feed, and the marketing. We need value addition across the board in agroeconomy in Kashmir, which will then lift the quality of life and standard of living of the people. That should be our target.
The India-Pakistan dispute, rooted in regional tensions, carries enormous global consequences. With both nations armed with nuclear weapons, any escalation could lead to catastrophic war, affecting not just the subcontinent, but the entire world.
If there is a war, if there is conflict, that risk is always there. And that's why sometimes people internationally describe this as one of the most dangerous places in the world, Kashmir, because it can be the cause of a nuclear war between India and Pakistan.
Unfortunately, the situation in South Asia is very fragile. It is a nuclear flashpoint between very influential nuclear powers, like on one side it is Pakistan, and on the other side it is India, and our neighboring country is China, and on the just one country behind the China is Russia.
One-fifth of humanity resides in the South Asian subcontinent. Pakistan and India, and then the other countries, which is Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, Nepal, Maldives, and Bhutan. Mutual cooperation, connectivity, peace, stability, security, they are undermined.
Indian-controlled Jammu and Kashmir has long been a focus of concern over human rights violations. But since the 2019 revocation of Article 370, the situation has worsened, with heightened security crackdowns, restrictions on freedom of movement, and increased reports on abuses, sparking global criticism and fears of further escalation.
There have been several allegations of excessive use of force, including use of pellet-firing shotguns, tear gas and rubber bullets by security forces during sporadic protests, with unconfirmed reports of at least 6 civilian killings and scores of serious injuries in separate incidents since the 5th of August. At least another 6 people have been killed and over a dozen injured in alleged attacks by armed group members since the 5th of August.
It was in violation of the various agreements, including the Simla Accord, where it was decided that no party will unilaterally change the status of Kashmir. As a result, there have been serious demonstrations and resistance by the Kashmiris, and consequently there has been a crackdown in Indian-occupied Kashmir. They increased the number of forces there, they arrested a lot of people, they stopped all political activities.
Since 2019, over 4,000 people in Indian-controlled Jammu and Kashmir have been detained, with 2,000 reportedly missing. the United Nations has documented widespread human rights abuses, including torture and arbitrary arrests. Amnesty International reports that over 100 internet shutdowns occurred in 2019, disrupting communication and daily life. India is a home to the world's third largest Muslim population, has seen a disturbing surge in hate speech targeting religious minorities. In 2024 alone, the India Hate Lab documented 1,165 incidents of hate speech, predominantly aimed at Muslims and Christians. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks calling Muslims infiltrators during his election campaign further fueled these worries.
और पहले जब उनकी सरकार थी उन्होंने कहा था कि देश की संपत्ति पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है। इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे?
The world community is not at all looking at human rights, human dignity, human social mores, and they want a complete change of demography. They want to, where 85% Muslims in Jammu and Kashmir, they would like it to come below 50. The amount of troops today stationed in Kashmir is 900,000 with a population of barely 10 to 11 million. It's a ratio of 1 to 10. And such a high militarized zone cannot be found anywhere in the world in Kashmir. The Kashmiris are brave, they're fearless, they are people who have a kind of sense of their own dignity, honor.
How stable is the situation near the front line at the moment?
We call it the line of control, and the situation at the moment is stable. In the past, there used to be many violations, mostly from the Indian side, and sometimes there used to be retaliatory fire from our side also. So the situation along the line of control used to be very volatile, but some years ago, the two sides, India and Pakistan, met and decided to have a confidence-building measure and said that we would calm the situation along the line of control. Although there are violations from time to time, but they are not very frequent and they are not as fatal as they used to be.
We had a ceasefire agreement which is holding for the last almost 3 years. So there are lesser number of fire exchanges, but still there is a risk. There are people who are inadvertently either get close to the line of control or by mistake across the line of control, and they're picked up by the Indians. Sometimes there is, for no reason, there is opening of fire on the Indian side, and it causes casualties.
This is Pir Chinasi, Pakistani-administrated Kashmir. Behind me, you can see the White Mountain. That area is now being controlled by India. We are not allowed to go closer. So this is the last point from where the foreigners can see the reality of the ground.
I have very deep association with Azad Kashmir because I was born and raised there. And that's the loveliest land in the world as far as I'm concerned. And the people are fabulous.
What about the people and the humanitarian situation there?
Humanitarian situation is not very satisfactory. I mean, I'm talking about the refugees who migrated from the Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir in 1989. We have given them shelter. But of course, they have lost their homes and they can't go back to their own towns or villages or cities. So that's a catastrophe in itself. They can't meet their relatives, close relatives. There used to be a bus service that has been suspended. And we used to have trade between the two regions, Azad Kashmir and the Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and that's also suspended at the moment. We have given you that the number should be between 40 to 50,000, these refugees. Some say as many as 60,000. We're taking care of them. We give them housing. We also ensure that they go to universities and colleges and schools, and that they get education and employment.
Since 2019, bilateral relations between India and Pakistan have largely been frozen. There has been minimal movement, primarily involving diplomats, often referred to as High Commissioners. However, there has been no Pakistani High Commissioner in India, nor any Indian High Commissioner in Pakistan, reflecting a significant halt in diplomatic ties between the two countries.
Diplomacy is the preferred option for both nations, for India, Pakistan, and the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And we should use multilateral diplomacy, bilateral diplomacy, third-party mediation to resolve this issue.
In turn, India continues to sustain its position on Jammu and Kashmir, emphasizing that the region is an integral part of the country. On January 13 this year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Jammu and Kashmir to inaugurate the Sonamarg Tunnel, a critical infrastructure project aimed at enhancing connectivity in the region.
साथियों, 21वीं सदी का जम्मू कश्मीर आज विकास की नई गाथा लिख रहा है। पहले के मुश्किल दिनों को पीछे छोड़कर हमारा कश्मीर अब फिर से धरती का स्वर्ग होने की पहचान वापस पा रहा है।
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, let me state in no uncertain terms that Pakistan will respond most decisively to any Indian aggression.
The Kashmir conflict remains the longest unresolved dispute on the agenda of the United Nations. The global community expressed concern about the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, urging a peaceful resolution. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation calls for concrete actions based on United Nations resolutions, while the Shanghai Cooperation Organization stressed the need for dialogue between India and Pakistan to prevent further escalation.
Pakistan's original theory, which the United Nations Security Council holds till today, is that it is disputed territories. It is again now for the world community and basically the UN Security Council permanent members to decide, will they allow a people, as I said, where 900,000 Indian troops are physically in there, to give them the choice of deciding their future.
Do you think that the situation still have a chance to be resolved through the diplomatic means and negotiations?
Pakistan does not think that there has to be a military solution to Kashmir.
Pakistan always supported multilateral resolution of the country under the observation of the United Nations and other international forces.
But the most important thing is that the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they resist the occupation and they have not accepted that. So there is resistance, armed resistance, political resistance, moral resistance.
Each year, Kashmir Solidarity Day is observed on February 5th to express Pakistan's support and unity with the people of Indian-administrated Kashmir. It highlights their ongoing struggle and pays tribute to those who have lost their lives in pursuit of their rights.
The dispute over Jammu and Kashmir is far from over. Two countries remain locked in conflict with no resolution in sight. The name Kashmir, according to belief, means a land desiccated from water. Yet this soil has absorbed water that will never dry. The blood and tears shed for this land, marking its tragic history and uncertain future.